What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Thursday Night Football Pre-Lock Show here on RotoGrinders. Happy to be with you talking Thursday Night Football or whatever you might want to call this game that is taking place tonight. In any case, we'll break it down for you here over the next half an hour as we get set for kickoff between the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. We've got some rainy weather. We've got some ugly offense on these two teams, but the Falcons, believe it or not, are tied for first place in what is the NFC South. We'll see if they can keep some momentum rolling in that division that is pretty much up for grabs at this point. So I know there is potentially some weather impact, and so we'll see if that is a cause for concern with the game tonight. But I am Justin Van Zuiden, a.k.a. STL Cardinals 84. I've got Mr. Will Priester alongside, who I believe is in the area, so Will can give us a boots-on-the-ground weather forecast. Will, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. I am in the Carolinas. I am not Kevin Roth, but it has been windy here. It has been rainy here, and that's been most of the day. We've had some tornado warnings, some tornado alerts and different things like that. And so I've got a thing in nearby Charlotte that it's similar. I'm roughly 3 hours away, but just according to how the weather's been, it's supposedly impacting this general area, so to speak. And so, based on even some stuff I saw on Twitter, people making funnies, it's been raining there, a great deal. So I'm rolling with a full-blown rainy, windy game script tonight, and let's hope. Oh, Derek's there in Charlotte. Calm breeze and drizzle rain. Great. These quarterbacks are terrible. Hopefully, I still get this right, Derek. But definitely rolling with that type of build tonight.
Yeah, it's probably a game that's conducive to a lot of running, regardless of whether the wind and rain are impacts or not, because these teams don't love to throw the football given their current situation offensively. But we'll see. I guess maybe that's selling Mariota a little bit short, but we know Carolina does not want to run the football more than does not want to throw the football more than they absolutely have to with PJ Walker. So expect a lower scoring game. We've got 41 is the total, so not too much to get excited about in terms of offensive fireworks. We could see a low scoring game tonight, but let's start with captain selections. We've got Cordarrelle Patterson back for Atlanta, but he is your most expensive captain on DraftKings at 17.7 with the captain pricing bump. Which is, pretty crazy. If I sort by our projected ownership, we still do have Mariota. Most of the times, quarterbacks are the most popular. DJ Moore, Kyle Pitts up there as well. But this is really a game where it's wide open. Who are you potentially looking at as your top captain tonight?
Yeah, I think for me, it's D'Onta Foreman. This is the guy that popped this team for over 100 the last time they played. Now, I know that was in the Dome in Atlanta, but I still think Foreman has a big game on his hands here against this Atlanta defense, and I know they're probably going to be prepared more for the run because of the weather, but I think this is the guy, if we see 15 to 20 carries out of him, he could absolutely be the game winner for us tonight. So, but mainly for me, and I could be wrong, I'm kind of fading the passing games here. I don't mind Patterson, Foreman. I don't even mind Tyler Algier or Chuba. I'm really settled in on running game captain. And if you think the game is very low scoring, then maybe a defensive captain. If nobody scores a touchdown, the one defense that has a scoop and score or a fumble recovery or interception or anything like that, or sacks, that could really be advantageous tonight. So I'm all aboard the running game. So for me, Foreman is actually my favorite captain tonight by a wide margin. I know Patterson can catch passes out of the backfield and things like that, but still for me, Cards, I just don't feel like the Falcons throw the ball enough. He's had one target the last couple times he's played, and he came back obviously here and had one target, but he had 5 against the Saints. But that's it. Like, this team isn't throwing the ball enough for me to even consider his pass game production. I don't think so. For me, I'm going to side with Foreman, who I actually think has big time upside in this spot.
Yeah, it's Foreman has certainly been the guy that's been taking over that backfield. Didn't do as much last week, but they got blitzed, so not going to put too much stock into that. With Hubbard active, is maybe a little bit of a concern, but you are getting a $6K discount there on DraftKings from Patterson to Foreman. I think if you want to play it safe, Mariota is fine in the captain, but I do agree, going with the pass catchers in that captain spot tonight just doesn't feel optimal, given, the way these teams like to operate. So I'll throw Mariota in this one for now, but I like the Foreman call. I certainly think as long as this game stays competitive, he'll be the guy that's getting the lion's share of the touches in that backfield and should have a much better game than he had last week. So, all right, let's talk about these two quarterbacks a little bit. A lot of times we're jamming in both quarterbacks in these showdown lineups, but tonight, now the question becomes if we even want to play one of these two quarterbacks tonight. So what in the world are we doing with Mariota and with PJ Walker?
I think if we're playing one cards, it's probably Mariota, because I think he's the quarterback that I feel like would actually run the ball. I don't see PJ running too much. Like, he doesn't run a lot anyway. Mariota, and correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, he's been pulling in about almost 30 yards a game, most games on the ground. So I think if there was one guy that I was going to use or that I would use, it would be him. But I feel fine fading all the quarterbacks or let me say all of PJ Walker. Like, I feel fine just fading him completely and probably not fading Mariota just for the rushing ability, because in the event he rattles off a 20-yard touchdown, like, that might be what you need to get over the hump tonight. If anybody has a long touchdown run, anything within 20 to 30 yards, that could be the difference between a takedown and just cashing. So I think Mariota is the one guy I would use. I feel like fading PJ Walker tonight is probably a good idea. It's not going to feel like it on paper, but I don't feel any need to have to play PJ Walker here.
Yeah, it's just he's not a polished NFL quarterback. You just look at his passing numbers. Yeah, he was decent the last time these teams played, but that game went to overtime. It was just a wild fourth quarter, and outside of that, they're not letting him really throw all that much. 16 attempts, 22 attempts, and the offense was just a disaster last week. So I'm off Walker as well. I think Mariota is perfectly fine, either in the captain or in the flex, simply because he's at least got a little bit better history throwing the ball than Walker does. But so Mariota would be my choice if I had to pick one of them as well. All right, let's talk about these running backs, and let's do this team by team because I know you like the running games a little bit. Let's start with Carolina here. Obviously, if we know they're not going to be throwing it very much, they are going to be running it. We know you like Foreman because you mentioned him as a possible captain pick. Are you doing anything with Hubbard tonight?
Yeah, Hubbard. Listen, I'm in on all the running backs tonight for what it's worth. Foreman and Hubbard are pretty much, I think, going to have by split. I think, let's say if Foreman picks up 17 carries, I think we get about 10 to 12 out of Chuba. And that's pushing them around 30 rushes this game, which I think is likely. So I like them both. So for the Panthers, I'm playing them both. I do value Foreman a little bit more, but I think they're both fine. And then on the Atlanta side, like Algier and Patterson are the top two, but the problem is Huntley's going to get some carries. I mean, if you look at this game log, 10, 8, 16, 6, looks like he's going to get 5 or 6 carries this game realistically. What if he's inside the 20? He rushes for the touchdown. Like that's kind of how I view this game. So I definitely think that getting these guys in is going to be important.
Yeah, I love the running games in this one as well. I think, it's difficult to go away from them. Obviously, we're sour on the quarterbacks to some degree. I think Algier is definitely intriguing because of how he fared last week. 10 carries, 99 yards, had a 24-yard catch as well. So, he had over 120 scrimmage yards in the game. Patterson, they're not going to use him as a 3-down, play every snap kind of thing 2 weeks after he's been back. And you're getting a decent discount with Algier as well. I think he's definitely in play in tournaments. If you want to roll Patterson in your cash games, that's fine. Hubbard, I think in GPPs is an interesting pivot, or maybe play him with Foreman and assume that they pile up all the rushing yards. But I think you need to prioritize the running games here. You put Algier in this lineup. We've still got 6,900 left for our other spots. So we'll come back and talk about the pass catchers, but let's talk about the kickers and the defenses. I know you're on them, and I know you usually like the kickers, but it's a little windy and it's a little rainy. So are we a little more nervous about the kickers tonight?
I think I am a little more nervous, but I don't think that's going to stop me from playing them. Just because, what if they end up with like a 30-yarder and a 40-yarder, something like that just kind of squeaks in there. Like now they'll have about 7 fantasy points, and that might be more than half everybody else on the team if the game script goes the way we anticipate. So I'm in on the kickers as well. I think either one of them would be fine, and let me say this to you, Justin. On this particular slate, ironically, I'm kind of leaning to playing a lot more FanDuel because I think I'm going to be different enough because I'm fading the passing games. Now, look, I know guys are going to catch passes, and anything can happen. One of these receivers could have a jet sweep and take it to that. Like, I understand all that, but I feel like the running game is where I want to plant my flag, and so that's I'm sticking with how I feel like this slate is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, let's see, if I plug, let's say I plug Atlanta's defense in here, I plug a kicker in here. I mean, salary kind of becomes not a thing. I can play any pass catcher I want with 11.5 remaining. Even if I put DJ Moore in there, I've got 2,300 left. I could go the fade the passing game route and put another running back in there. With Patterson, I'd be over the cap. I'd have to go down to Carolina's defense. But you can see this one here, outside of Mariota, who you could even move out of the captain if you wanted to. This is basically your all running game type of lineup. But you mentioned, I mean, somebody's got to catch passes, but like Terrace Marshall is 8,400 on DraftKings. DJ Moore, yeah, he's going to get the targets, but how many of them how many pass attempts are there going to be? It feels weird to play him as kind of the chalkiest pass catcher. London would probably be my choice from the wide receivers on the Atlanta side if I had to pick one, but I don't feel super great about them either. So, you've got Pitts as well, but he's been a relative disappointment. Like, I know you don't love him, but if you have to pick a pass catcher, who are you looking at?
Maybe DJ Moore, maybe Kyle Pitts. All in all, so the Falcons don't throw it enough for me to be inspired to think that suddenly in a weather game or some form of a weather game, they're just going to start flinging the ball around. I feel like that's just not who they've been. And then because of the Panthers situation, outside of that big game against the Falcons in the Dome, which is weather controlled, and and playing the Buccaneers, like PJ Walker has done nothing. So I just can't assume that these guys are going to have a big night.
Yeah, it's really tough. And again, I don't like playing Moore as chalk. I'm okay with it. I get it. But it's probably London for me if I had to pick one of the pass catchers in this game. I mean, it's a pretty ugly game. So, if you get lucky with a touchdown and you peg the right guy, I mean, that can absolutely be the difference in a GPP type of setting tonight. So if you want to try to peg that, go for it. And maybe stack them up with the quarterbacks. This is probably the lowest you'll ever get the pass catchers in terms of ownership, but tough to feel super confident about it in like a single entry type of build or something like that. All right, Will mentioned looking to play some FanDuel. We'll go ahead and pivot over there. Talk about that. If you've got questions, go ahead and throw them in the YouTube chat because this game is ugly and it doesn't take very long to get through the options when there's only like 3 viable options on each team. So if it's Thursday Night Showdown, Derek says it's got to be Pitts because it's tight ends. So you can't argue with that logic. But Big Hurt is asking favorite contrarian MVP and ways to get different on FanDuel. And I think Will kind of alluded to this a minute ago with, getting different on FanDuel simply by not playing a whole lot of the passing games. You can see our 3 most popular MVPs on FanDuel, the 2 quarterbacks plus Moore, and they're soaking up it was about 64% of the total MVP ownership on FanDuel. So basically everyone else is pretty contrarian, and almost everybody plugs in their most expensive guy in that MVP spot on FanDuel, which again is going to lead to Mariota being the guy. But I presume, based on what we've talked about so far, like maybe your favorite way to get different is by rolling Foreman still at that MVP spot on FanDuel.
Yeah, sorry, there was a little bit of lag there, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty much rolling a running back in the MVP spot, and I'm kind of in a rotation, Justin. So whole lot of game kickers and defenses. That's pretty much my script for the night. A little bit of Mariota because of his running ability, but all in all, man, that's kind of how I want to approach this slate tonight. And look, I'm swinging for the fences here, Justin. I don't think anybody in the world is completely fading the passing game. So, I'm all aboard running backs, defenses, and kickers. Like that's where I'm at tonight. I'll have some 2 kicker lineups just in case. A slate like tonight, you get something really weird happening, and all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute. Kickers have points in the skill position guys. So that's what I'm doing, man. Just trying to be as different as I can, but with some sense. And I've got massive salary left over tonight, by the way. Like I'm putting one in right now. I've got $6,500 left on FanDuel, which is ginormous.
Yeah, yeah, leaving some salary on the table is absolutely not a problem in a game like this one, so I've got no issue with that myself. Feel free to do that in some lineups to help keep yourself a little bit different. But, otherwise the common construction that we gave, if I kind of show the same type of lineup on FanDuel that we did on DraftKings, you get the running backs, maybe you get Mariota in there. Your build's going to come out the same way, 9K for that final spot. With that Mariota MVP build. But, if you're not playing Mariota, basically you've got the salary to do what you want. Like even if I put Foreman and Moore in there, I've still got over 12K for my remaining options. And, the only guy above that's not a quarterback is Patterson. So you can play whoever you want. If you aren't playing the passing games there. So totally agree with leaving some salary on the table as a viable strategy to keep your lineups a little bit different tonight.
So here's the thing too, Justin, I will say, like I'm building these lineups fully understanding that they're terrible.
Everybody's lineups are terrible.
No, I know, but I'm fully aware that this is bad lineup building that I'm doing tonight. Like I'm completely isolating myself or taking away one part of the game, like completely. So, it is what it is. Like this game should be bad. I'm hoping it's as bad as we think it is, and I'm also hoping that I win tonight. So there you have it.
The wise words of Will on the show here. We're about 10 minutes away from lock. Somehow, we still have 10 minutes. I am in stall mode, just trying to to cover us up here until the game starts. But don't forget, if you are checking us out tonight, you can also check out Stat Hero. If you have not heard of Stat Hero, it's a unique fantasy sports platform which allows users to compete only against the house and not against the other players in the contest. You can participate in head-to-head style contests, where Stat Hero provides a lineup that you have to beat with your own, as well as pick'em style contests. And you can check out the Big Dime League, a season-long leaderboard NFL contest with $50K in prizes, which you can enter all season long. And we know Will likes Foreman over Pitts tonight, given the prioritizing of the running game. And I think I agree as well. So Foreman over Pitts in that little graphic there. But you can get a 50% bonus with your first time deposit up to $250 with promo code Grinders. Again, at Stat Hero. So check that out. And Will is riding Mr. Foreman tonight.
Yeah, man. Foreman is my favorite play on the slate. I am hoping that as a fan, I got this slate right. My view of the slate is Foreman handles the heavy work. And I'm just hoping Chuba Hubbard doesn't run for like 3 30-yard touchdowns or something like that. Like, get me Foreman over 100 and a touchdown. And I'm feeling really good about my chances here of him being, the number one player on the slate. I'm hoping that the passing games both fail miserably. And as a result of them running the ball, Justin, we should see this game go by fairly quickly, even though it's going to look boring. If the ball's on the ground, the clock's going to be moving. And so let's hope it stays that way. If you guys have loaded up on the passing game, I am rooting against you heavily. And I am hoping that the weather that was at my house arrives at this stadium anytime during the game in the first quarter, and I will be feeling really good about my chances. But all in all, interest slate should be a very terrible game, but hopefully we have very good lineups built for Showdown.
Matt in the YouTube chat says how much Baker, so he's rolling the backup quarterback approach, which isn't crazy on this slate, I guess.
Not on this one.
Is a disaster. Heck, Zero might even outscore some guys, but Baker Baker got that. Oh, if Walker goes 5 for 20 for 40 yards and a couple picks, I'll say I told you so when he gets negative points. But Baker had a couple garbage time touchdowns last week. The numbers obviously weren't great, but they're sticking with Walker, at least for now, as the starter, which is, I don't know, got to be a blow to Baker's confidence, you would think. But all right, let's see. We've got a question in the YouTube chat from Jovan. Do you prefer single entry, 3 entry, 20 entry GPPs for the most edge over the competition? What do you think in these showdown builds? Is it best to focus on a small number of lineups or go a little higher? We've certainly got time to discuss it.
On a slate like tonight, I feel like less is more, because I'm just unsure of how things are going to shake out, and I don't want to, waste my time trying to sort through all of the crap, if you will. Like, now, what I will say is, if this game had normal, what I felt like were completely normal weather conditions, I'd have a totally different approach to this slate. But I'm really leaning on the weather having an impact here, and so that's the reason I'm building this way. So I feel like less is more. I'm probably going to end up with, I don't know, I've got 6 lineups in it right now, building all types of wacky run game, kicker, defense combinations. I'll probably end up with 10 lineups by the end of the show, and that's kind of the approach I'm taking. If I had, let's say if Baltimore was in this situation, Justin, I'd probably just hit the lock button on Lamar Jackson in the MVP or captain, and then just filter it out like that, because I absolutely feel like he would have been the leading scorer on the slate. I don't really have, reason to believe other than me feeling like Foreman's going to be a big game. I will tell you, I've got 100% Foreman captain. So if he doesn't go or if he doesn't crush, then, I'm dead. I did think about running a few extra, like right now I'm building a Foreman double defense, one kicker, one other running back lineup, something like that. I did think about running, both defenses in the captain at least once, just in case. But I do have a strong conviction on Foreman tonight. I'm going to stick with that because, as you know, Justin, I'd be kicking myself if Foreman does what I expect, and I burn a lineup when I'm not running a bunch on the defense, and it ends up that both of these teams run the ball down each other's throats and score some points.
Yeah, you don't want to peg it right and then not get any payoff from it for sure. We do have some people asking about potential like low-owned punt plays, pass catchers. Somebody falls into the end zone. Tommy Tremble is one that was mentioned. Laviska Shenault was one that was mentioned. You've got Demir Bird in there. It's really tough. I would probably go with Tremble and just hope he gets a red zone target and Walker doesn't throw it, to the other team. But tough to bank on Shenault without consistent quarterback play. Heck, it's tough to bank on Shenault even with good quarterback play, which I suppose that's unfair. He's never really had that behind him. But I'd go with the tight end, and you hope you have an easier path at least to a touchdown there. So that is Tremble for me. Any other insights on, I don't know, maybe some of these pass catchers that we kind of glossed over because we're not really on them? Like, I don't know how you play Terrace Marshall here.
Oh, no. I'm not playing any Terrace Marshall. I've got Terrace Marshall unders all over the place. In fact, I may even get another prop card now. I even took Demir Bird under at 12 receiving yards. I'm just not expecting him to throw the ball. He's on the field 50% of the time, and most of the games he's had one target. If he doesn't catch that one target, he's dead. So I'm just hoping.
What's your favorite? You had to pick one favorite prop. What's the one favorite prop on the board tonight?
Tyler Algier over 8.5 rushing attempts.
8.5 attempts?
Yeah.
Well, that's...
I love Mariota under passing yards. He settled in at about 155.
One of us is lagging a little bit. Not sure whether it's me or you, but sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was saying over 8.5. Love Mariota under 155.5. Love Demir Bird under 12.5 receiving yards. Love Foreman. He's been around 53 to 55.5 rushing yards. Love that. Love Terrace Marshall. He's been anywhere from 36 to 38.5 receiving yards. Been taking unders on him. Drake London has been anywhere from 36 to 38.5 receiving yards. I've been taking unders on that just because I just don't see this passing game flourishing tonight. So what I'm sweating tonight, Justin, is for us to not have a wide receiver screen that goes wrong. If that happens, good night. I'm done. But I'm really hoping that the defenses don't screw this up.
And by go wrong, Will means that it actually goes for a touchdown. If a defense takes it to the house, he's okay with that. But we're rooting for an ugly offensive game tonight. So, all right. With that, we are coming up on lineup lock here, and it's an ugly one out there tonight. So enjoy the evening and enjoy the football. Make sure you get the final submission in here now. By the time this comes across, it might be too late. So we appreciate you checking us out. Even with an ugly game tonight, be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you're watching in the YouTube channel. We appreciate that very much. Subscribe. Check us out, RotoGrinders.com. And with that, we will call it a show for tonight. Thanks for checking us out, everybody. Thanks to Steve for producing behind the scenes for us. Thanks for joining me. I am Justin. Have a great evening, everybody. We'll catch you later.